here's the bottom line. There are no quick fixes. Anybody who tells you otherwise isn't telling you the truth. And we will keep on being a victim to shifts in the oil market until we finally get serious about a long-term policy for a secure, affordable energy.
President Obama wants to slash America's oil dependency by turning to alternatives like natural gas, biofuels, and nuclear energy. But is any of this likely to happen without an entirely new energy policy? With us now, Missouri Republican Senator Roy Blunt. Senator, thank you very much. Welcome. I've heard presidents, Democrats and Republicans, whether they're wearing sweaters and giving Oval Office addresses or not, talking about changing our dependence on foreign oil, and it never happens. And I can think back 30, 40 years. What's going to change it? What is going to make America finally get serious about this?
Well, it does need to happen, and the president's goal is clearly the right goal. It does seem to me that he's changed his approach to energy since the election. Remember, this was the famous San Francisco Chronicle interview where he said if his cap and trade policies worked, electricity prices would necessarily skyrocket. Where Secretary of Energy Chu, before he became Secretary of Energy, said that we needed to get our gasoline prices where the European prices were. And they have now, I believe, finally figured out that both of those plans create economic disaster, and a plan for more American energy creates more American jobs. For that whole period of time, Andrew, you talked about, we've used more energy than we could produce, and there is an absolute guaranteed job market there to produce energy, and we ought to be having American jobs produce as much of it as they possibly can. And I'm an all of the above guy. I'm fine with the president's commitment. I thought I saw a newer commitment here to fossil fuels, natural gas, oil, domestically, than I'd ever seen him quite make as dramatically before. And I hope it's heartfelt. I hope he really means it, and the administration does all they can do, and the Congress supports all they can do to create more American energy of all kinds, because that means more American jobs and less dependence on other economies, particularly economies where they don't like us very well.
Of course, this president did endorse offshore drilling, and that was right before the BP spill. He has been tentatively supportive of nuclear power, and now we've got what's happening in Japan. So will the American people come along after witnessing these two, living with one disaster and witnessing what's happening in Japan?
Well, I think in the offshore drilling, we've done lots of offshore drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. We've had one disastrous accident. That disaster doesn't stop us from flying planes. It shouldn't stop us from looking at our resources as economic advantages instead of environmental hazards. And hopefully the president's departments will get along now with issuing the leases and drilling permits that are needed to go after oil and natural gas, both on land and in the Gulf. And as far as nuclear power is concerned, I think it's an important part of the future equation. We clearly always want to build those plants with the planning for the worst possible things that could happen. And I think in Japan, they didn't plan for the worst possible things that could happen. Our plants have had a different, we're a different kind of geology. We have to be sure that we're building those effectively. But we also have to be sure if somebody's trying to build a nuclear plant, it doesn't take 10 years to get the permitting process. It doesn't take repeated trips back to court to get that done. And the president can have a lot to say about that as he takes the 2005 bill that let that process be streamlined and streamlines it as much as you can without giving away any of the necessary safeguards that you want to have.
Well, it is a conversation to be continued because there has been no quick answer to any of these questions. Thank you very much. Good to see you, Senator. Thanks for joining us. And up next, a friendly reminder for New York Senator Chuck Schumer. Don't forget to hit the mute button. Politico, right next on Andrea